Coming at you from the ATX here with the Box to Box Radio podcast. I'm your host, Mason Carmichael. With me, as always, my right-hand man, my ride or die, the peanut butter to my jelly, Mr. Moses Hernandez. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, brother. Doing good. Another episode 2.
Yeah, man. I'm pumped for second episode. We got more content, more soccer, more just antics. How was your weekend to start off? I feel like I haven't seen you, man.
I know, man. It's been a few days, hasn't it? Weekend was good. You know what? They say things go in two sometimes, and we're on episode 2. Had 2 championships now in our men's league.
Give it to him.
It was lovely. We're now celebrating our second trophy there.
Yeah, for those of you guys that don't really know what we're talking about, Mo and I play in a pretty competitive men's league here in Austin. When we told you we cover all things soccer, we really meant it. We won our second championship this past Sunday. Shout out to
my birthday.
Yeah, shout out to Moses Hernandez turning what is it, 25, 26? How old are you?
26, my man.
26 years old, man. Old man Moses over here. Yeah, scoring a goal on his birthday as well to get things kicked off and winning the championship for Outsiders FC. So shout out to that. Shout out to Outsiders. Only good things here. Good things here. Championship mindset. Pep Guardiola. If you're ever looking for a job, you can have my phone number. We'll get you over here into the States. We can't pay you that much, but you'll have a great time and a really good squad to mold for your next big challenge.
If you think about it, actually, I was looking on YouTube the other day. I saw Pep actually coach a Sunday men's team in the UK.
There's no way.
I kid you not. I just was scrolling down YouTube and I found this video. Like he had his coaching squad train these guys, and they were actually decent.
Yeah, well,
I think we have a chance if we submit a video or two.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Pep Guardiola in line to take over for Outsiders FC, the men's league team of the Box to Box Radio podcast. But in all seriousness, that brings us into our news segment here for the weekend. Interesting news coming out of the UK reports that there's a clause in Pep Guardiola's contract that when he leaves Manchester City, he has the option to take over as manager of New York City FC in the United States, which is really crazy. Pep Guardiola is always known for being the guy that wants to go and take on a new challenge. He's not one to go and be comfortable. So is this even a feasible idea for him to do? Is this someone that you think could grow the game domestically? Like, what are your thoughts on Pep being in New York City blue as part of the Pigeons, man?
That was exciting. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
until now.
Coming at you fast. I stay on top of my research,
I like
man.
that.
I'm a professional.
No, I could see it, but I don't think he would do it.
Really?
I would love to see it, but I don't think he'll do it.
But I would actually go inverse of what you're saying for both of them, because I think he would do it. I think that it would be a challenge. Maybe he's at City for a couple more years. He's already won in La Liga. He's already won in the Bundesliga. He's already won in the Premier League. I don't really foresee him going and getting that PSG job. Or maybe a job in Italy for Juventus or anything like that. Looks like
Italy. I was actually thinking about Italy.
Yeah,
I think Italy would be his probably last stop until he decided to do something else.
Yeah, I don't think that he'd be going to Juve, because Conte is rumored to be coming in after Maxi Allegri leaves, and so that job's not really open. They're going to go with the guy they're familiar with. But
yeah,
I do think maybe taking a time to come to MLS and try something new. But the way that the British media has been touting it is kind of a coaching sabbatical, that Pep could come here and kind of just coast a little bit and
kind of show the ropes.
Yeah, not really work that well. Dome Torrent was his assistant coach, and he's now the head coach of NYCFC, so it'd be an easy transition. But
yeah,
man, I don't think it would be good for the league if he's viewing it as a sabbatical and he's coming over here and saying, "Oh well, I'm not really gonna try. I don't really want to put a lot of effort into this team.
I do a little hobby type thing."
Yeah, I don't think that'd be good for the growth and development of the league. But Pep himself, he's got a place in New York City, in Manhattan, that he comes and stays out in the offseason. He loves the city, so I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
So definitely something to keep your eye on. Rolling along with some news, Some news in MLS that's kind of going to define a little bit of our CONCACAF Champions League discussion as well. That we talked about Sporting Kansas City playing Monterrey on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Central in El Monumental in Monterrey. We found out also today that Sporting Kansas City's 20-year-old homegrown right back Jalen Lindsey is out for 4 to 5 months with knee surgery.
Wow.
You hate to see it. Prayers going up for that young kid, but in response to that, they have signed Nicholas Hasler. And for you guys that don't know who that is, he's a Liechtenstein international. He was named their Young Player of the Year back in 2011. 27-year-old can play outside back, can play on the wing. Most recently with Chicago Fire, they waived him because of a lack of an international spot. And then before that, he was at Toronto FC where he won the treble with them back in 2017. Moses, not much more to say about this one. Just a solid depth siding for Sporting Kansas City.
I think that's a good call. I mean, Chicago losing out on that one.
Yeah, I mean, the way the league works and the rules with international, I mean, they brought in Nico Gaitan, and with Gaitan, they can't really have another international player. Their spot's already maxed, but good pickup for Kansas City.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, moving forward on to our next bit of news here. We got an international transfer rumor. So, of course, the window is closed in Europe, but the window is not closed over here yet in the United States. And there's rumors coming out of Manchester that Antonio Valencia could be on his way to MLS. This report came out from his dad, who is also his agent, saying that he has been in negotiations with a couple MLS teams. Moses, do you think this is a marketing or a leverage kind of conversation from his dad, or do you think this is something that's actually feasible and we might see Valencia actually come into play in MLS over the summer?
To be honest, I could actually see him being in the MLS. It wouldn't be actually a bad idea either.
Yeah, I think, especially for a couple teams, I think he'd be a good asset. The teams that come to mind for me, of course, the biggest one is Orlando City. I think you got the connection there with Nani, his former teammate. You got a big South American culture and following down there in Florida, so people are going to know who he is. And, of course, the position of need, James O'Connor, the manager for Orlando City, he likes to play a 3-5-2 out of the back. And so you can slot Valencia right on that right-hand flank, and I think he'd be a good player for them. I think another option for him could be maybe like a Vancouver Whitecaps. They're kind of looking for some more high-end players. I'm thinking the Houston Dynamo would be a good fit for him, too. They got kind of an aging back line, and they might need some cover on the wing, too. So who knows? A lot of possibility here.
Yeah. I think I'm not going to, try to be mean or anything, but I think his time is kind of coming to an end, at the top level that he's at right now. So I think it's time for him to kind of think about, I guess you could say long-term in a way.
Yeah,
have some fun,
Yeah,
MLS and promote a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. He's 33. He'll be 34 coming up here within the year. And MLS is no longer a destination where you come and just kind of sit on the beach and retire.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still going to get good games. He's still going to get worked. He's still going to have opportunities to win trophies. So I think smart move for Valencia, and hopefully they pay him. Get that money, Antonio. I'm hoping that comes through for you. Last bit of news here before we jump into our last two games of the weekend for MLS and break those down pretty quick. Chicago Fire, huge news for them. A couple years back, they signed Schweinsteiger. They just signed Nico Gaitan. But even bigger than I think both of those is allegedly, because of a report that came through on Twitter today, there's a big possibility that the Chicago Fire are moving from Bridgeview, Illinois, back into Soldier Field in downtown Chicago, which is what the team has been wanting for a really, really long time. With this would come 2/3 of their debt paid off for their stadium in Bridgeview. That's the SeatGeek Stadium, would be paid off there. And then they would rebrand their team to be called Chicago City Soccer Club.
I like the ring of that.
Man, again, I hate to disagree with you. I love the history behind the Fire.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good name. It's an iconic color. The look of the jerseys with the red with the white stripe across the front. I love it. I don't really think the rebrand needs to happen, but maybe that was part of the deal. This is exciting stuff for a Chicago team that really has a market downtown that they haven't reached since they moved out to Bridgeview. And if you look at their games, man, empty stadiums, their attendance has been around 9,000 to 10,000 people every game. And for the way the league's been growing, that's not something that you want.
Yeah. I think that would be very, very beneficial to Chicago. I mean, if, like you said, it would pay off their debt on the other.
Oh yeah, ticket sales.
Right? Ticket sales. But no, I actually do like the sound of Chicago City Soccer Club. Just the way it kind of rings. It sounds a little, I guess you could say a little bit more modern. You know, it kind of
Yeah.
flows. I mean, you kind of have to go with the transition sometimes. You know.
Yeah, especially they're trying to compete with the Atlantas, the Seattles, the Portlands of the league, where they're selling out stadiums. Atlanta's getting 70,000 people, and Chicago's a huge metropolitan city. They got a lot of diverse backgrounds. You got a huge Hispanic culture.
Yeah.
You got a German culture up there as well. So them not being downtown central, easy access is just killing them. And I think that this club's really, really going to benefit in the long term from this.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, for sure. So that's all the news we got for you around the world. Please get at us in the mailbag if you got any news you want us to cover in shows coming up. We love learning about the world of soccer. If there's anything that we don't cover here, please get at us. It's either hit us up on Twitter at box2box_radio. That's box, the number 2 box_radio. And we'll be happy to get back with you at that. So yeah, Mo, going now, breaking down the last 2 MLS games of the weekend. We did a little bit of a preview on Sunday, and they turned out a little differently than we expected. We both predicted a draw. Or I mean, I predicted a draw. You predicted an Orlando win in that Orlando DC game, but was not to be. It was a 2-0 victory, or excuse me, 2-1 victory for DC United. Goals in that one from, oh my gosh, Steve Birnbaum on a header on a corner. A wonder goal from Wayne Rooney. If you haven't seen that one, go back
Wayne Rooney was
and
actually
watch
on
that.
the other end of the first goal.
He was, yeah, you're right.
was,
Yeah,
yeah.
whipping the ball into the box on the service. A golden assist there for Wayne Rooney. And then Dom Dwyer, of course, Chris Mueller crossing it in back post, him headed it in. All in all, Mo, I don't think this game was as black and white and carbon cut as we want to see it. It wasn't like DC United came in and bossed the game and got the win. I felt Orlando for a lot of this game were the better team.
No, I agree. I mean, with the foul that happened to Rooney, I kind of feel that things like that can kind of change the game. But in my personal opinion, I felt like Orlando City did have they had the upper hand in this game. DC United, like you said, didn't show me much. What I did like about Orlando City, though, was the fact that they were still pressing the way that they were. They created a lot of chances. Nani missed his one-on-one, or not one-on-one, but the game tying goal.
Yeah, for sure. And I was actually going to ask you. You brought up the foul. What was it? A foul? Was it not a foul? Your honest opinion. I mean, you've reffed a little bit of men's league around here, Mo. I mean, you're not up there with the best in the world, but you're pretty savvy about the game. From your experience, is that a foul? Is that even close? Was Rooney kind of milking it? I mean, what is your opinion on that, man?
My personal opinion, I feel like it was a foul. Just given that Law 12 and the referee rules, it goes as anything that's a kick at the opponent or even an attempt to kick at an opponent can be called as a foul. Whether you missed him or you hit him, it's still considered as a foul.
Yeah,
you have to look at the recklessness, the carelessness, the excessive force. And I think all of that came into play with Dora's tackle.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to agree with you. Of course, we know Wayne Rooney agreed with you. He got on with an interview with Stephen Goff out there in D.C. with the Washington Post after the game on Twitter and said that basically he had to move out of the way. And, of course, it's a foul because he's not going to risk having his knee destroyed just to go in for a challenge. So I completely agree. Law 12, exactly. There was intent for contact there. Dwyer came flying, and it wasn't like he was trying to pull out of it the last minute. He was going in blood in his eyes. He really wanted to take a piece of Wayne Rooney there.
Yeah,
so
there was no.
I think that's the right call. And of course, Wayne Rooney absolutely throttling home the free kick there. Again, folks, if you have not seen that goal, you are missing out. Go on. It's all over Twitter, MLSsoccer.com. Hit it up. You guys got to watch that.
Yeah, I gave Rooney man of the match for that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Going now to Carson, California, where the LA Galaxy played against the Portland Timbers. We both predicted a 2-0 win. We got something pretty close to that. It was a 2-1 win. The Galaxy, both goals by Zlatan, both penalty kicks. Little controversy there. And then, of course, the youngster for the U.S., Jeremy Ebobisse, with the goal for the Portland Timbers. Mo, I again don't think that this game really on paper speaks to what happened. Give me your thoughts on what you saw from this game.
I disagree. I think LA had the upper hand here only because Timbers, they didn't convince me at all. First half, they had their entire right side vulnerable to LA's attacks. It wasn't well handled. Everything that came attacking wise from LA all happened on the right side of LA, on Timbers side.
Yeah, I'd agree. They went down. They had Skelvik and Antuna kind of combining a little bit down the left hand side. They were going at Morera, who of course made his starting debut for the Portland Timbers. I disagree. I think that the Timbers, as the game went on in the second half, they started to figure it out a little bit. They're playing out of the 5-3-2 now. I think it's a better formation for them. The bunker counters what got them to MLS Cup this past year. And then we're so quick to forget. We always talk about Atlanta being this huge successful team last year. The Timbers had a system, and they used it to make their way to the MLS Cup, and they were a good team last year. They were pretty hard to beat. So I think that Savarese, their coach, is going back to that. I also saw bright spots from Jeremy Ebobisse finally getting to start over Lucas Milano. I think that he did very well. And in all honesty, man, I think the penalties were a little controversial that Zlatan got. I think you can make the case for the first one being a foul, but the second one, I'm not convinced. I think he went down a little bit easy. I think he was looking for a little bit of contact, and I think they got away with one.
I don't know about the second one, man. Just if you think about it, like, yeah, he kind of did go down a little easy, but at the same time, keeper's making no attempt to slow down his slide on him. And technically, if he would have shown a little bit of resistance, I could have been okay. You know, that's not going to be a penalty. But the fact that he went full force, 100% committed, to me, it gave it a penalty.
Yeah, I don't know how much more resistance you can show. He had his hands in the air. He wasn't trying to go after him. Zlatan leaned into a little bit. I think it's just the Zlatan effect for me, really. Like, you're going to tell one of the best players in the world that he wasn't fouled in the box. I mean, that ref, I mean, if I were ref in that game, I'd be scared. I probably would have given him the penalty kick as well. But something to look out for. Portland Timbers have been hard done by.
No win yet.
Yeah, still looking for that first win. They play against San Jose on the road next week. San Jose has not been a great team. They've not been really getting going, nothing going in the attacking third, at least. That defense is still in shambles, and head coach Matias Almeida keeps telling us that it's a process, but I think the Portland Timbers will finally pull out their first win next weekend. We'll just see what happens. That's all we got so far for MLS action. We're going to go to break here. Coming up after the break, we're going to preview everything EPL. We're going to do a little bit of a recap of what happened this past week and have a little bit of a vigil for our two fallen teams. Coming at you live here from the Box to Box Radio podcast. Thank you for joining us here in the second segment. In first segment, we talked a lot about news going on around the soccer world and a little bit of MLS recap from the weekend. Now we're diving in straight to the English Premier League, the EPL. A lot of stuff happened on this weekend and the past couple days with some big games going. Mo, let's kind of walk through here a little bit about what happened over the weekend. So first and foremost, let's start out with the sad part of our podcast. We gotta pour one out in memoriam for Fulham and Huddersfield. Of course, both of them relegated. It's a sad time in London and in Huddersfield as well. What went wrong, Mo? What went wrong with these two storied clubs?
Fulham, their first season in and their first season out now. They're one and done, you know? Honestly, in my opinion, I feel like what they lacked in was the depth in their squad. They came into the Premier League with the same squad as they came in with the Championship, but I felt like they needed to come in with stronger signings. They didn't do that during the summer, and I think it costed them. they could have competed if they would have made brighter decisions in the transfer window. Just the competition in the Premier League compared to the Championship is way different.
Oh, it's astronomical difference, and I think the biggest thing they had, I mean, they put a lot of stock into the loan signing of Andre Schürrle, German national, Borussia Dortmund player. We all remember him from those great Champions League days under Jurgen Klopp, and man, he just was not good for them. He was a huge flop. Nothing what he looked like when he was at Chelsea too. I forgot that he was at Chelsea for a little while as well. Shout out to producer Chris, diehard Blue over here. Never let me forget anything Chelsea. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Fulham they looked off pace with the rest of the Premier League teams. I mean, gotta love Tim Ream. He's a national team player, but if he is your starting left back or center back and he is your number one option, I mean, you are going to struggle. If you're playing Callum Chambers on loan from Arsenal at center midfield and expecting him to do a job week in, week out with little experience in that position, like you're not going to go far.
Yeah, and the goal differential showed as well. They have a minus 46 goal differential.
What is it, something
wins.
like 12 points or something that they got? Or
they have
13 points.
They have like 16, I think.
Jeez, that's embarrassing.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
4 wins all season. That's not.
That's
it's not convincing.
Yeah, it's not convincing. I mean, and they did have a couple bright spots. I mean, most notably Ryan Babel when they brought him in from Besiktas. I think he did a really good job, kind of being the guy that scored some goals for him. But again, one player is not enough to save a club.
No, not at all.
With the firing of Claudio Ranieri as well, they fired their manager first, then they brought Ranieri in. They fired him. They finished out with caretaker manager Scott Parker. I don't think this club was stable enough to stay up. It kills me. I remember the Fulham of old where Clint Dempsey was bossing the front line, and they looked fun to watch, and they were one of the.
They were a mid-table team.
Yeah, they were one of the most fun mid-table teams. I remember them playing in Europa League one year against Juventus, and Clint Dempsey scored an absolute screamer against Juventus. And man, from where they were then to where they are now, it's so sad. Our hearts go out to all the Fulham fans out there. Come to Austin. Let us know that you listen to the podcast. We'll buy you a drink.
First round's on me.
We'll cry together. I mean, this is a team that has historically played good American players as well, in the likes of Clint Dempsey, Eddie Johnson, Tim Ream. These guys are all national team caliber players, and to see them go out like this with, I think they still got 6 or 7 games left in the season.
6 games left.
That's brutal.
Yeah, in my opinion, I feel like they need to make those signings in order to come back into the Premier League. If they don't make those proper signings and spend the money that they need to be spending, they're not going to make it. And
it's going to be harder now because, of course, the number one reason the teams want to be in the Premier League, besides the footballing aspect, is they want to be able to have that TV revenue from the Premier League, and that's what allows teams, in an unsalary capped league, to go ahead and make these big name signings. And without that revenue when they're dropping down to the Championship, I don't see them being able to do it. I think there's teams in the Championship right now that are far better off and in a far better place. I'm looking at teams like West Brom or Aston Villa, Leeds, some teams that are at the top of the table right now to come up that are in a much, much more stable place than this team is. So I think it's going to be a rough road for Fulham. I don't think it's going to be Sunderland rough. Apologies to Sunderland fans.
R.I.P.
But I still don't see them being able to make a challenge next year too, especially with the squad they got, and a lot of their top contributors were either loan players or players that are in the kind of the twilight of their career.
Yeah, on their way out. And speaking of having the revenue to bounce back, in a situation like that. Huddersfield just got relegated as well, but I believe that they can bounce back into the Premier League, I think, more successfully than Fulham. They just got done with their 12-month season, and they have 2 of those. With that kind of, I guess you could say, revenue, like you were saying, or the TV revenue. Being in the Premier League for that long, and playing the way you are, surviving, I guess you could say, because I mean, this season they had a shocker. Last season, they barely got away.
Yeah, they clung on. I remember it went down to deadline day. They were clinging on for dear life. And That's a great point that you bring up. They're very much different from Fulham in the fact that they had a year longer in the top flight to accrue that revenue. And I think you and I were talking earlier. You're telling me that they're going to keep their coach on.
Yeah,
their manager's going to stay. They want to build something with this club, and their sole purpose is to gain promotion and to back the manager and believe in what he's doing at the club.
Yeah. The board actually said that they're backing John fully. They want him to manage while they're in the championship. They have 3 wins, unfortunately, 6 matches left. But honestly, where I felt that they lacked was up front. They had no real goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with you there. Interesting fact and stat for you here with both Huddersfield and Fulham. This is the 5th consecutive Premier League season in a row that an American has been relegated from the Premier League.
Yeah.
You're looking last year, it was Jeff Cameron with Stoke City. Years past, you had Brad Guzan with Middlesbrough and Aston Villa. DeAndre Yedlin was on loan with Sunderland when they got relegated as well.
Yeah.
That's a hard stat to look into, and that's one that doesn't really shine brightly for us when we're trying to grow the game over here in the States. But an interesting fact nonetheless.
Yeah.
Bringing up back to Fulham, bringing up Tim Ream. He's a guy that I think he's a little bit older. He's in his 30s now. Thinking they might be looking to move on from some of their older guys. I foresee him maybe having a good career over here back in the States, doing a lot of what Clint Dempsey, Marisa did, coming back over and playing here. So Tim Ream, we hope to see in the States soon. Maybe if you wait a couple years, we'll see you in black and green. Shout out Austin FC. I think the Austin Anthem would have mixed opinions on that one, but hopefully the Tim Ream lands in a good spot, and we'll get to still see him thrive a little bit for the national team. But RIP, pour one out in memoriam. Cue the Titanic theme song for both of these clubs. A little bit of I Will Remember You. Yeah,
and not only them, but we got Cardiff and Burnley and Southampton actually fighting for their lives right now. I don't know who
the cellar dwellers.
I don't know who could be the next one to be relegated.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about. I think you and I were talking about it the other day. I think Cardiff, man. I think they're the team that's going to go down. It kills me to say that. They don't really have the budget as a Burnley or a Southampton. They're not really pulling out the results. The only time they ever really seem to get a result is at home, and they're clinging on to results, and I just don't think they're going to have the firepower to get over. You talk about talent. You got a mid-30s, early mid-30s Sol Bamba as your best starting center back.
Yeah, that's got to change.
You got a championship level goalkeeper in Neil Etheridge playing in goal. I mean, their only bright spot this season, I feel, has been Callum Patterson. I think that he's been a bright spot. He's been doing well for Scotland as well. He's a guy that they converted from a right back to a striker to a winger, and he's kind of played all over the place for him. But I just don't see him getting any better for them. I think Burnley's a team that's kind of in a slump, but Sean Dyche is good enough of a coach to kind of pull them out of that. They got some talent as well. Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood up top keep banging in goals, so I think they'll be okay. They got Jack Tarkowski in the back that's putting in solid performances. And then Sunderland, they had a bad start to the season, but they've been pulling out some results. They got a big result against Man United about a month ago. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. What else did we have out there? We had Man United versus the Wolves.
Yeah, that
was exciting.
That took place today. That was a game that if you didn't watch that today, please go find some highlights or something, guys. This was a really, really good game. Surprising game as well. So you got Manchester United that's vying for its spot in the top 4, which of course, if you're unfamiliar, gets you qualification to that coveted Champions League, which everybody wants to play in. More money, less problems for your top level teams there. Wolves are trying to stay within that top 5 or 6 spot because they get Europa League again, less money, still no problems because you're playing European football. And for a club like Wolves that was in the championship last year, which a lot of times I forget that they were so low last season and now they're up.
They're sitting at 7th right now.
Yeah, and they're sitting pretty at 7th place.
Yeah,
I think
they are. They're giving these top teams a run for their money. They tied City. I don't know how they did against Tottenham. I can't remember, but I mean, every time I tune in and I see Wolves playing I actually want to sit down and enjoy it because they give these teams a run for their money.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time they've had the number of Manchester United. I mean, it was the same result back in March 16th for a cup game. They had a 2-1 win. This one was pretty interesting. Goals from in the 13th minute, Scott McTominay for Manchester United, this young Scottish international, his first professional goal for United. Big moment for the lad. He's had some good performances really the past year and a half since he's broken into the team. Solskjaer seems to trust him a lot, so I think we'll see a lot more of him.
Yeah, he's got the talent.
Yeah, Diego Jota scoring in the 25th minute, the equalizer. He's been in good form, partnering Raul Jimenez up top for Wolves this year. And then a weird one here, Chris Smalling, the 77th minute own goal. Kind of slapped it into the back of his own net with a handball there. That was
I think
a pretty weird decision.
It went the wrong way. Let's say that.
Yeah, and I'm being kind by saying Man United has not been known for their lockdown defending the past couple years.
Yeah.
And then, of course, second yellow card for Ashley Young. I think he deserved a red. I mean, he was playing pretty reckless in this game.
In my opinion, at that level, when the foot goes rolling over the ball, these guys aren't like your Sunday league team who don't know how to maneuver their feet. You know what I mean? More or less have the tactical awareness and have that technique. But I think that yellow card was deserving. It went over the ball, cleats into his shin.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, you never want to see that. You never want to be able to see that kind of play from a veteran. But
no.
Another thing is I think that he was setting up in a kind of a position to fail. I mean, Solskjaer ran out like a really old school looking 3-6-1, a little innovative, and Ashley Young was playing as a right center back in that formation. I don't. You know, he went from being a winger 3-4 years ago to now a full-time right back, and then Solskjaer's asking him to do a job at a center back. I know that he trusts Ashley Young a lot, and he values him as a leader on the team, but, man, don't put a player like that.
Yeah, you're going to put him in an uncomfortable position there.
Oh, yeah, and he's known for his attacking play as well. He's not really a solid lockdown
He will make
defender.
mistakes in the defensive area, and it shows. I don't think that's his first red carded, trying to defend somebody.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, the proverbial nail in the coffin today for Fulham. Watford just absolutely smacking them 4-1. Goals in this one from Doucouré in the 23rd. Of course, we talked about a little earlier, Ryan Babel being the only guy getting things going forward for him. He scored in the 33rd. Will Hughes, 63rd. Troy Deeney, 69th. And then, of course, Femenia in the 75th. Kind of the dagger, the sealer for that one. Yeah, like we talked about earlier for Fulham, I think this was just a talent gap. I think that they just don't have the talent to compete at this level. You got guys like Odoi, Ream, Chambers, Kearney that are not having really, really good seasons. And I don't think that they're able to just compete with a Watford team that they've been slipping in the table a little bit lately, but I still think they're a quality team in the league.
Yeah, and Wolves and Watford are neck and neck right now. Wolves are at 7 and Watford is at 8, and that just kind of shows and tells you that these teams are capable of putting in these type of fights.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. I think that the Premier League this season has been a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, you've had teams that we thought would be top 4 at the beginning of the year struggling. You'd have teams that we never thought would be anywhere near the top of the table or even mid-table, like Wolves and Watford kind of showing out a little bit, which has been great. Let's go now to a team that's vying for a top 4 finish. Yesterday, Arsenal took on Newcastle and got the 2-0 victory there. Goals, of course, by Aaron Ramsey, the one that got away. Of course, signed the pre-contract with Juve already. And then Alexander Lacazette. He's had a pretty great season this year for Arsenal so far. I want to make a kind of a tactical, stylistic comment on this for Emery's side. I think that them being able to play in the 3-4-3 like they've been lining up in has been a little bit better for them. I like the compact look with the 3 center backs, whether that's Mustafi in there or Socrates or Monreal. I think that they line up better that way, and I think it honestly gets the best out of your best 3 attacking creative players. You got Ozil, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. I think those are the best 3 that you have on the attacking end. It also allows Aaron Ramsey to have a bit more of a box-to-box role, and I think that they look good. As far as Newcastle goes, not really a surprise. They haven't really been a really good team going forward. I mean, they've squeaked out some wins by their defensive presence, but not a lot to be desired here from Newcastle as far as their performance against Arsenal.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, and the real bright spot here for Newcastle, I mean, we're a new podcast, but of course we got to jump on the hype train of Miguel Almiron, doing big things in Atlanta the past 2 years. Got that. Yeah, we're always a fan of people making that money, jumping over the pond, coming to Newcastle, arguably being the best player, if not top 3 on that team. Him and Rondon already have that South American flair and connection. He had the Venezuelan striker in front of him at Atlanta in Josef Martinez, and he's got that in Rondon at Newcastle. So I think he's been a bit of a revelation there and has adapted well to the Premier League.
Yeah, he's got potential there.
I agree, and I think that Rafa Benitez has done enough to keep this team in the top flight for one more year at least, and I think they'll be able to spend more money and bring in some more guys like Almiron.
Exactly. I think if they make some proper signings this summer, I think they'll next season they'll definitely be a mid-table team as well.
Oh yeah, I agree, and it's all about getting that ownership thing figured out as well, because Mike Ashley still owns the club for whatever reason, and he's not really wanting to invest in the players and put money into that. So I think if that ownership dilemma gets figured out over the summer, I think they'll have a better chance of competing in the Premier League. And of course, we talk about the Premier League. And it's outside of the spectrum of what a lot of you guys that are maybe getting into the Austin FC hype train, you're looking into a league in MLS, which has a salary cap, and each team's kind of on a level spending playing field. In the Premier League, it's not like that. You have a financial fair play rule where you're allowed to spend as much as you bring in, but other than that, it's fair game. So teams that make more money can spend more money. It's not capped by any league office or anything like that. So I think the more investment that Newcastle's able to get, the better of a team they're going to be, which it's just common economic sense, Mo.
Yeah. I think it kind of just tells its own story there, you know?
Yeah, agreed. We touched a little bit on this last pod, but I wanted to jump back in and do a little bit more in depth on this. We talked about the title race. I think we really, really missed the opportunity to dive in last pod on this Liverpool-Tottenham game. I think that this was a big fight between two heavy hitters. Of course, Tottenham right in amongst there, hanging on in third place. Just got jumped by Arsenal today with that Arsenal win, so Tottenham's now hanging around the fourth place spot. But they were up there for a while in the title contenders, and really wanted to stick it to Liverpool to prove that they're a better team. And man, this one was just a cagey affair. I mean, Roberto Firmino with the first goal for Liverpool.
Amazing header, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great header. Oh man, shout out to Bobby Firmino. You'll never walk alone. We told you last podcast, I'm a ride or die Liverpool fan, so big ups to Bobby Firmino. And then Lucas coming in with the equalizer. He's been, so we talked about this a little while back. He's been like a revelation. He was like a new signing for them over the summer. Even though he signed last winter, it's like they were getting a brand new player, and he's been great scoring goals for them. And then, of course, the game winner and weird own goal goalkeeper gaff by Hugo Lloris. He took full responsibility for it after the game. And again, Liverpool are winners. I think this will do a big blow to Tottenham's confidence, especially coming up against Man City. I believe they play them 3 times in the span of 2 weeks with Champions League as well as league play. And I just don't see Tottenham challenging for that top 2 spot anymore. I know they were up there for a little while. I think that they'll be lucky to get top 4. I don't see them being able to challenge for the title this year.
No, I don't either. I think Tottenham is running out of gas. Man City is in phenomenal form, but Tottenham, you're not going to be able to win against City at the form that they're at, especially not 3 times in a row.
No, I think,
may be a little biased, but just being honest.
Yeah, and I thought their performance in that game again in the series against Dortmund was really, really good from Tottenham. But at the same time, like, Dortmund is not Manchester City.
No,
Not even close to Manchester City. I mean, they've been struggling to keep pace in the league this year. I mean, they had a significant lead in the Bundesliga, and then they blew it a couple weeks ago, and Bayern's finally caught up. But I think that Man City is kind of trending upward. Tottenham's kind of in this weird limbo. And a credit to Pochettino for getting the best out of his players. I mean, you're looking at a roster here where they're having to start Moussa Sissoko at center mid and Harry Winks, and these are two guys that at the beginning of the season, if you had asked either of us if they would have been quality starting Premier League players, we would have laughed in your face. Sissoko really hasn't had a good year since he left for left Newcastle. He had a lot of hype in the Euros in 2016 when he was playing well for France, but other than that, this guy really hasn't had consecutive solid years. So the fact that Pochettino is able to get the best out of him and then bring in youngsters, like I said, Harry Winks and Oliver Skip into that center midfield as well, bring in guys like John Foyt to play in the back. He's done a lot with a little, and I think there's a lot of top teams that will be knocking on his door here come summertime. I think Real Madrid would have been a good one, but they just brought Zidane back, so I don't think they're going to be looking to have him fill that role permanently. And then Man United was the other big one, but they just announced that they're going to keep Solskjaer on, which why wouldn't you? I mean, get that paper, Solskjaer. You're doing super well there. He's had a great stint as their caretaker, and I'm glad that they made it official and brought him on for next season.
Yeah, I'm actually happy for that guy.
Yeah, he's the baby-faced assassin, man.
Yeah,
as Roger
into what they need, honestly.
Yeah. Roger Bennett once called him the English Andy Serkis, and if you don't get that reference, go watch a Lord of the Rings movie, and you guys will get it right away.
Oh goodness.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much the lowdown on all the Premier League action that we had this past weekend. We're going to be moving on in our third segment to bring you some UCL previews. So we'll see you on the other side of the break. Back now on Box to Box Radio here. If you join us in the second segment, we talked about all things Premier League. We had a memoriam for Fulham and Huddersfield, pouring out again for those guys. But now we're moving on to bigger and better. Moses, we're doing a UEFA Champions League preview. I mean, the biggest competition in club soccer. We got to talk about it.
Absolutely.
What are your memories growing up watching Champions League games? Like, what are some fond memories you got of the old competition?
It's almost like Christmas, man. The most exciting time of my life.
Oh, yeah.
I kid you not. Champions League is a tournament of all tournaments, man. If you say different, don't at me. We can no longer be friends.
You can at me. I'm here for the banter. Breaking down everything Champions League here. We're going to go through basically the 4 quarterfinal matches here and just kind of get a feel of who we think's going to come out on top, who we think's going to suffer, who the standout players are going to be. So, Mo, just right off the bat, we're starting off with Tottenham versus Man City.
My beloved city.
Your beloved Man City, and Pep we trust. Moses, Tottenham hosts the first leg of this one. Man City hosts the reverse leg. Give us a little bit of a preview for this one. I mean, you know City better than I do. You bleed City blue. We talked about last pod. Give us kind of the lowdown on this fixture.
I think Man City takes it from Tottenham, even being at home, just given the fact that Tottenham hasn't been able to really perform at the level that they need to. Recently, they lost 2-0 against Chelsea, tied against Arsenal, who was down on a red card, 1-1. Things like that. I think that plays a big factor. Man City, they've got them 3 times. 3 times, I think, within a week or even a 2-week spread. I don't see them coming out as confident as they should. Not against a team like City, who's in incredible form, has depth out the wazoo. It just, in my personal opinion, I think City takes it no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with you. As much as I, cringe at the thought of saying Manchester City is going to win anything, man. I have to agree. I think Tottenham, like you said, doesn't have the depth that City offers. I think Harry Kane, coming back off injury a couple of weeks ago, I don't think he's 100% sharp yet and fit and firing like he was before he got hurt. And I think that front 3 of Aguero, Sterling, and Sane are just going to be too much for that Tottenham back line to handle. So I agree with you. I think City will take this one. Aggregate score predictions. What do you got for me?
I'll be generous and call it a 5-1.
5-1 aggregate, not even close. You're thinking a blowout here for Manchester City.
I honestly, like I said, I don't see Tottenham doing much right now. I don't think they are as sharp as they could be, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit more generous here, mostly because I don't want my girlfriend, who's a diehard Tottenham fan, a huge Christian Eriksen stan as well. Got Hugo Lloris crush a little bit. I ain't mad about it. He's a good looking dude. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go 4-3 on aggregate. I think Tottenham gets a 2-1 home win over City. And then City goes back to the Etihad and gets a 3-1 win to seal it.
You know what? I actually changed my prediction.
Wow. Mostradamus over here changing his predictions.
Only because I got a buddy of mine who's listening to this. Nate Barber, don't hate me, bro. I know you're a diehard Tottenham fan, so I'll go ahead and give you the 5-3. I'll give you 5-3. Don't hate me, man, but you can at me on social. Yeah, we can talk about it.
Nate Barber, Nate Barber, getting our mentions, bro. We would love to. I'm here for the Man City bants any day of the week. So yeah, we're both thinking City's going to take that series. Of course, we'd love to hear different. Shout us out. Send us an email. Send us a tweet. Come knock on our door if you find our address. We'd love to talk to you about any of that stuff. Moving on here now, Mo. We're going to Liverpool versus Porto, the only games that matter in the Champions League. Easy game. Wow. Really.
Porto.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Moses Hernandez hates Porto. He is talking mad smack about him right now. Saying they don't even have a prayer.
You've got easy points in this game, man.
Liverpool points, man. I'm going to give Porto more credit. I mean, they added Pepe to their back line. They got Iker Casillas, who's a little bit old, but he still got some game.
And Madrid,
they're collecting overage Madrid players, man. It's good to be good at something.
It's not working out.
I mean, it's working out for them. And they got Hector Herrera, the Mexican national midfielder, patrolling the center of the park. He's been having a good season, but I'm gonna go ahead and say I think Liverpool's
by far
gonna take this game. I think Pepe, watch out because Sadio Mane's been collecting ankles. He already has Mats Hummel's ankles in the bag, as well as Manuel Neuer's from that astounding, electrifying win over Bayern Munich. Sorry to my buddy Elijah Timms, who had to listen to me gloat to his face after that victory. Sorry about you. I hope you cheer for Liverpool now that your team's not in the tournament anymore. But we'll see what happens. But I do think that Liverpool are the clear favorites in this one. But like I said last pod, overly optimistic about my Liverpool side. I think we got to be careful. We got to be wary. There's a reason Porto's made it this far.
By sheer luck.
No, I don't. And this is the thing. I think there's luck up to a certain extent in this competition. But once you get past the round of 16, I think you have to be a team with some mettle. You have to be a good team. But
remember who their opponent was this last round, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't the hardest team.
Yeah.
It was two of the weakest teams, and one of them just had to come out.
That's fair. And I think my score prediction for this one, I think Liverpool, they host the first leg at Anfield. It's another European night at Anfield. Great. I'm a little biased, but greatest European environment to be in for a Champions League game. Hope to go someday. Love watching it on the telly. But I think it's going to be a 3-0 win at home, and then I'm saying a 1-1 draw on the reverse leg. So it's a 4-1 Liverpool aggregate win.
I could accept that. Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be first leg you guys are gonna go all out. Second leg,
no question.
Second leg, I think you guys are gonna just rest after that.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me is, and I want to pass this over to you as well. Mo Salah, the form of the Egyptian talisman, he was incredible last year. Got us to the final. I'm not salty at all about the Sergio Ramos shoulder bar that he did to him.
It was a love tap.
Oh man, yeah, not salty at all. Definitely not ecstatic at all that Real Madrid is out of the Champions League. Oh yeah, not happy about that at all. Yeah, sarcasm is real, folks. But Yeah, Mo Salah, he's been worrying me, man. I mean, he hasn't scored a goal, and I think it's like 9 games. His past 9 games or 9 or 10 games, he hasn't registered a goal.
Yeah, he hasn't.
Sadio Mane and Bobby Firmino have been picking up the slack a little bit, but we're going to need Liverpool's going to need Salah to pull through if they're going to get past not only Porto but into the final again.
Mm-hmm.
And Jurgen Klopp deserves a trophy, I think.
Yeah, Jurgen Klopp is just a phenomenal manager, up there with Peps, up there with the big guys, the top guys. Question though, how do you feel about Salah being this out of form? Do you think it's the pressure, or what do you think? Because me personally, I feel maybe he's feeling a little bit of pressure.
I think a lot of it is the pressure, but I think also you're looking at a guy he had a career year last year with Liverpool. He hadn't really registered a season like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're expecting him to register the same amount of numbers. I mean, he started the season above pace for where he was last year. And I think it's natural for players to have kind of that, even though it's not his second year in the league, I think it's a sophomore slump for him to kind of just to regress a little bit, because what he did last year was astronomical. I mean, he was up there pretty close to Ronaldo and Messi levels for that one season.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's not a sustainable thing for a player that's in his mid-20s like he is. And I do think a little bit of it is the pressure, you know?
Yeah, hell of a player, though. I can give you that.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
For sure. So, yeah, we both got Liverpool coming out of that one. Next matchup we got is Ajax versus Juventus. And, Mo, I am super, super, super excited for this matchup. Of course, and you, the podcast, will soon come to find out that I am a huge, huge, huge FC Dallas fan. Hashtag play your kids. We've been nicknamed the Ajax of the South. I love, love, love what Ajax are doing with their youth academy. They got players like De Ligt. They got players like Frankie de Jong, Ziyech. He's coming up.
Soon to be new Barca signing.
Soon to be Barca, Frankie de Jong. Get that paper, son.
I'm actually very pleased with that. That's going to be exciting.
I'm excited for that, too. And how sweet was it for him to knock out Real Madrid a couple weeks back, too?
That was lovely.
His Barca teammates will be patting him on the back for that one when he gets into the camp. But
we celebrating with champagne.
I honestly think, and this is probably a really unpopular opinion, but the heart wants what it wants, man.
Mm-hmm.
Ajax is going to take this series. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, and rumors have it that Cristiano Ronaldo is still hurt, that he might not even play this first leg.
And that's killer also for Juventus, because Ajax is home the first leg, and they really, really, really show out in Amsterdam for Ajax games, and
incredible atmosphere. And the way that they were celebrating their goals. And I mean, that just shows that they're confident going into Champions League with the momentum that they're carrying on their backs.
Oh, yeah. And it's not even like this team can't play on the road either. I mean, they went and got a heck of a result against Real Madrid. I want to give a quick shout out to Lasse Schöne for that absolute screamer of a free kick.
Jeez.
Buddy, if it was a cross, it didn't look like it. You
wasn't a cross.
Put that top bins. Thibaut Courtois didn't have a chance or a prayer in that one, and that's just a bit of what this Ajax team is capable of. I want to highlight real quick a player that I think has thrived in this system, has thrived under this manager, whether as a number 10, a winger, or as a kind of a false 9 player, and that is Dusan Tadic. He's 30 years old. He's putting up numbers. Again, he's having a Mo Salah career this year. Mo Salah year this year with Ajax. He's putting up stupid numbers in goals and assists, not only in the Eredivisie, but also in Champions League. I mean, the box score rating he got last game, which hasn't happened in a very, very long time. He got a perfect 10 out of 10 against Real Madrid, which is unheard of. The man was on fire. He was the best player on the field. I think he's got a bunch of the top teams on high alert. This is a guy that last year was at Southampton, kind of wallowing, doing unspectacular things, and now he's a superstar. I think he's going to go off in this series. I think you're going to have a lot of the young players like David Neres and Ziyech, as I mentioned earlier. I think they're gonna do well. Dolberg running around up top might have some good moments too. You got a young back line, Mazraoui and Blind.
Quick guys.
Tagliafico, who's being touted for a move to Barcelona or Atletico Madrid in the offseason. So these are some guys that are in high demand. De Ligt reportedly being looked at for Liverpool. They want that Dutch connection center back pair with him and Virgil. This is a team on the rise. However, I want you to give us kind of a lowdown on this Juventus team. They're no slouches, and I think it's going to be a pretty good series. So, what can Ajax fans, what can fans of the beautiful game be looking forward to from this 7 year in a row winning and looking to make it 8 Juventus side? They've won the Serie A 7 years going. If you've seen those myth shirts, that's what that is. Their 7th title. They got Ronaldo up front, the talisman. They got Dybala. They got Matuidi. They got Chiellini. They've got just so many good players. Mo, what can we expect from this Juventus team?
Honestly, I could expect a very hard pressing team, to say the least. Even with Cristiano Ronaldo out, I think that they can still manage a little bit. Ronaldo's by far their greatest player, hands down. But I feel like they can still put up a decent fight against Ajax. I mean, you have Dybala, who in international play didn't do the greatest, but in club, I think he performs when he needs to.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that he's one of their creative hubs on that team. They kind of let him and Ronaldo interchange a little bit in those free roles along with Mandzukic up top. Yeah, and then the three of them kind of creating havoc with their interchange runs. And then let's not forget the speed demon himself, Douglas Costa, on one wing as well. He's a guy that's gonna cause a lot of problems for Ajax. So we're both in agreement for Ajax to win the series. I know it's unpopular. Get at us, email us, get it in our mentions, and put us on blast for this. But Mo, score predictions.
Score prediction. Let's see. So playing at home, I say Ajax comes out 2-0. Going away, I know that they can score away, so I'll give it the win 2-1 away.
I'm going to go pretty similar. 2-0 win at home. 2-1 loss away. They go through on the aggregate and the away goal.
I could respect that. That isn't too bad.
Yeah, I think because it's so hard to beat Juventus at home. Their
Very
crowd
true.
shows up.
Yeah. But, I mean, like you said, Ajax does perform away.
Oh, yeah, they do. And that's the one thing that I wanted to point out about this team. They are young guns, right? They got 19, 20-year-olds patrolling the midfield, patrolling their back line. Their captain, De Ligt, is 19 years old.
So I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of rumors of, should this team stay together
Ooh, that's
another season or two as young guns?
So
because Ajax has amazing reputation for developing youth and just sending them abroad.
Yeah, I think you're asking the wrong guy this question, to be honest. I am super about player development. I am more about developing a player than having them go to the higher level. And this is, again, my personal opinion, but I do think that it might be good for guys like Tagliafico and De Ligt, and even I know you're excited about Frankie de Jong going to Bayern, but even de Jong staying one more year with this Ajax team, because development is key. And the interesting thing I read about this is that Barca and Ajax are looking to do kind of a partnership to where they have the young players play with Ajax to help them get into Champions League and, of course, win the Eredivisie. And then if they're good enough, they'll send them off to Barcelona with the option always to loan them back. So I think a setup like that would be good. But we're in a global game now. We're in a global market where players are more commodities than anything. And so these young guns, of course, Ajax has to look out for the future of their academy and the future success of their club and who can step up and fill that role next when De Jong or De Ligt leave. And so I really think that that's the upside to selling these players so young is maybe they're not developing as much, but maybe they're getting higher levels of training. And also you have the next Frankie de Jong coming up through the academy that spot is now vacated for him to get first team minutes.
Absolutely.
And then more money's pouring back into that academy. So interesting thing to keep an eye on. I don't think these young kids are fazed by playing against the biggest stars. We saw that against Real Madrid. They just want to come out here and play, man, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm actually excited that this Ajax team is performing the way that they are. It reminds me a lot of when Johan Cruyff was playing for Ajax. Just, you know, the phenomenal playing style, the young and ambitious players. You know, I think I think what I'm seeing is almost like a recreation of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
I've just always been a fan of Johan Cruyff and the way he's looked at football.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I'm a little excited about these young guys at Ajax. You know, it's good to see Ajax playing and representing the way that they are. They haven't technically, I guess you could say, lost their taste. They're finding it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. They're playing great homage and tribute to Johan Cruyff. Of course, the stadium that they play in is named after Cruyff as well. And a lot of good things, especially I think this is a killer thing for the Dutch national team as well, because you're looking guys like De Ligt and De Jong are getting first team minutes with the Dutch national team. They got younger guys coming through the pipeline because of the Ajax Academy. Guys like Davy Proper, who came up through the academy as well. Davy Klaassen, who's played for Everton as well. These guys are getting first team minutes, and all because they came up through. It's got to be the best academy in the Netherlands
by far, if not in the world.
I think there's a good shout for that. I think they have a very, very good development system, and it's not going to be long till we see a top level player from Ajax. Maybe it's Frankie De Jong that makes an impact on the global stage for one of the best teams in the world in Barcelona. So exciting stuff to look out for there. Speaking of Barcelona, we come to our last preview here, Manchester United versus FC Barcelona. This is the series that I'm most torn on. This is the one where I don't really want to pick a definitive winner. I expect a hard-fought game, a lot of fouls, a lot of controversial calls, and then hopefully praying to the soccer gods above that we get some penalty kicks in this one as well. As a neutral, I love penalty kicks. I know you are not a neutral in this one. Mes que un club, Barcelona. They got La Masia. Yeah, they rival the academy in Ajax. They've got some phenomenal players, arguably the best player that's ever played the game. And then you got a United team that's got Paul Pogba. They've got this resurgence under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They've got a lot of talent and structure and heart and fight, a lot like the Manchester United of old when they played under Ferguson. So Moses, this is a dogfight. This is a toss-up for me. Make sense of this for us. Who's coming out on top?
So let's see. Is it? I think it's at Man U.
Yeah, United. It's right? The first leg is at Old Trafford. Yeah,
I say Man United picks up a win of. I'll give them a 2-1.
Okay, that's reasonable.
I think Barca scores away, and then comes back home and makes it another. I'll say another 2-1.
Yeah, that's fair as well. Yeah. A quick bit of history for you. Quick question, or not a question. Kind of more of a statement here. This is the only These two teams have been the only two teams to play in a Champions League final besides Real Madrid and Barcelona to both feature Messi and Ronaldo.
Oh, that's true.
And even, I'm sorry, I'm going to correct myself there because Barca and Madrid have not played in a Champions League final, and both of them have been on the team. This is the only ever Champions League final to this day that has featured both Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. It was Messi playing for Barcelona, and it was Ronaldo playing for Manchester United. Of course, Barca got the 2-1 win in that one. Messi with the header, the shortest guy on the field, nodded in away. Amazing. We're talking about the era of Samuel Eto'o, Thierry Henry, Leo Messi for them. And on the other side for Manchester United, you had guys like Carlos Tevez, Van der Sar, Cristiano Ronaldo, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic. So really big throwback here. A lot of bad blood in this rivalry, especially because of that final. I'm going to have to go ahead in my prediction here. I think I'm going to give it to United. I'm going to go like you, 2-1 win at home over Barcelona, and then I'm going to say a 0-0 draw in Barcelona. I think they're going to hold Barca scoreless. They're going to be compact. They're going to give fits to Messi. Which, I might be wrong on that because of the way that Messi came on and impacted the game this past weekend. I mean, I think it was actually today. It was today's game. It was Villarreal versus Barcelona, and 4-2 lead Villarreal at halftime, and then Messi comes on and changes the game.
One of the greatest shows from Messi. Wow. I honestly was watching that game, and they went into the half up 2-1. And came second half, and Villarreal was up 4-2 until the last 10 minutes. They subbed Messi on in the 61st minute, and he comes in and scores a amazing free kick. That guy just has him down. Like it's nothing to him.
Yeah, I saw a
does
Panenka
it in
free
his
kick
sleep.
from him last week too. That was just tasty. We talked about Pozuelo's Panenka penalty yesterday for MLS, but oh my gosh, if you're don't even step into Messi's court, man. Like bow down to the king.
Yeah, goat for me. Honestly, it was an amazing game. Honestly, Villarreal was up 4-2. Like I was saying, in the last 10 minutes, they give up that lead and Barcelona ties.
Yeah, and
it's vital for Villarreal because they're fighting for relegation right now.
Big implications on both sides of the table because of course Villarreal, if they would have won this game, they would have
been a little bit higher.
They would have come out of that situation they're in, and then Barcelona, the win in this game actually puts them 8 points up.
Yep,
on Atleti in second place.
62.
If they would have lost this game, they would have been 5 points up, and it would not have
been way tighter of a race than what it is now.
Yeah, and it would not have been good. Oh, excuse me. Actually, no, they would have been 7 points up because they got the draw today, so they would have been 7 points up. But again, that 8th point really helps solidify the gap there. And I think it's a bigger loss for Villarreal than it is a gain for Barcelona. Of course, Barca resting Lionel Messi because they know they got a tough task in Champions League. He just came off of international break with Argentina as well.
A slight injury as well.
Yeah, slight little knock. I mean,
nothing too seriously as far as from what I know.
Yeah, I know we talked last pod about Ronaldo and kind of his body aging a little bit and him kind of slowing down. I don't feel that for Lionel Messi. I know he's 2 years younger.
He's still going. He's still going guns blazing 1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah,
he
ain't done yet.
No,
he's not slowing down by any means. I think that he's still got a really, really good shot at giving this team a Champions League title.
Yeah.
And that's our ultimate question here, Moses. Out of these 8 teams left, we kind of broke it down a little bit. Who is your Champions League winner? The final, give me your finalists and then give me your winner. And give me your score prediction as well. I know it's a little bit premature, but man, I like to live in the land of the unknown. I like to make bold takes, and that's what this podcast is all about, man. So let's dive into it. Give us your opinion on this, man.
Finalist, I will say, I'll go ahead and say this may be a fantasy to everybody, but a fantasy game. But I say City and Barca in the final.
That's your fantasy game, man.
If it comes true, which I hope, but it's one to imagine on, I guess you could say. But that would be my pick, and I think Barca takes that one.
Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna go Liverpool versus Man City. Liverpool, after having already witnessed Man City slip in the Premier League, Man City loses the lead in catastrophic fashion. Liverpool lifts the champion or the EPL trophy with Captain Jordan Henderson, tears in his eyes, Jurgen Klopp hugging all of his players, running down the line.
You're writing bedtime stories.
James Milner, stoic as always, but they get it done. Liverpool win the league. They come to the Champions League final. And they play just the most absolute jaw-dropping football you've ever seen in your entire life.
Wow!
Goals from the big three: Sadio Mane, Firmino, Salah, Virgil van Dijk, maybe with a header in there. I'm talking a 3-2, 4-2 win.
Wow.
Football's coming home. The trophy comes back to Liverpool, and we are great again. It's going to be amazing. I think this win over Tottenham this past weekend did a lot for their Champions League and Premier League hopes and their confidence, and they're going to the moon, baby. Liverpool FC, best in the world. You heard it here first. At me, getting me on Twitter. I don't even care anymore. I will die on this hill.
Bartender, cut this guy off, please. Cut him off. I want to throw a little curveball, a little fantasy one at you.
Okay.
If Atletico were to be playing Liverpool in the Champions League, let's say.
Oh, you're talking like a Simeone versus Klopp.
versus Klopp. I just want to kind of get your opinion on that. Who do you think that game goes to? Okay. Try not to be biased and go off of the actual football.
Well, there's only one team left in the Champions League right now, right? Out of the two of them. Am I correct on that?
True.
Yeah. So we're going Liverpool. Look, if you can't keep from shooting yourself in the foot against Juventus,
Fair.
you're not going to beat Liverpool. I mean,
Yeah.
and the thing that Madrid is good at is they defend compact in a 4-4-2. But you look at their center backs and Godin and Jimenez, and the word quick does not come to mind there. And so you got your front three of Firmino, Salah, and Mane all running at them full speed. That's a disaster waiting to happen for Simeone's men. And Simeone may be fired up, but nothing beats a Yergi Bear hug after a well-deserved win. And the fist bump is killer. I love it. It's the whole persona.
Passion. He's got so much passion.
Yeah. Producer Chris is doing his best Jurgen Klopp impression. We get some video up and rolling. You'll get to see all these great moments here in his kitchen. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I'm going to throw a hypothetical fantasy question at you,
Okay.
Moses Hernandez. The top leagues in Europe are coming to a close. We're kind of getting a little bit of an idea of who's going to finish in those top spots. So, out of the teams that are in the top, let's say 4 to 7 range in their leagues, let's say 3 to 7. Who are the teams that you're excited about maybe getting the chance to play European football, either Champions League, Europa League, and then give us a little bit of a breakdown of why you think. Give us one team. We'll each do one team, and then we'll wrap it up a little bit here.
I'm glad you actually brought that up because I've been looking at Getafe. Getafe, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Getafe wasn't in La Liga last year, and this is their first season into La Liga. Well, I mean, back to La Liga, sorry. And they're sitting in 4th place. I mean, 10 points shy away from Real Madrid, but that's still something amazing. And honestly, I feel like they have a chance to get into Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you. I mean, the football they've been playing this year is great. And then I'd also tack onto that Alaves. They're right behind them in 5th, and it's kind of the same story with them. Underdog. I mean, a lot of people don't like watching La Liga. The biggest critique on La Liga is, well, it's the same 3 teams every year that do well, and that's it. But they're really changing the mold and flipping the script. And actually, at the beginning of the season, Alaves was actually in 2nd place for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I think that you're starting to see a little bit more parity in La Liga, and it's becoming a lot more fun to watch for me.
Yeah. With them sitting high in the tables like that, for them coming from the league under, they're generating quite a bit of revenue.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's in. With that being said, I think it's gonna help them in the long run.
Oh yeah,
Getafe's gonna sign amazing players, in my opinion. I don't know who, but the fact that they have the ability to reach into their pocket now without hesitation to actually pull out a player of high caliber to face your Real Madrids, to face your Atletico Madrids on a weekly basis, you know, I think it'll benefit them being in the position that they are. And it's crazy to say that. Sorry, I'm thinking under the table now, but you know, Valencia, Sevilla, Atletico Bilbao, and even Villarreal, those guys might miss Europa League. It's a little shocking because I believe Sevilla was at one point in Europa League contending. You know,
yeah,
they were high up there, and
they've been perennial champions of the tournament
exactly.
too. I mean,
they were always there.
They won. There was one point they had a stretch where they won 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And then they made the final a couple years in between there too. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and it's crazy. They may miss it, and now Getafe having their first year back into La Liga, they're the ones going
playing some of that champagne football, as we like to call it. Looking a little bit glitzy there for Getafe, and yeah, hopefully that revenue can have some big name signings to come.
Yeah,
and they can continue being competitive. For my pick, Moses, I mean, you know, let's shout out the Wolfpack here. Come on, Wolverhampton. Come on, you Wolves.
Come on, you Wolves.
I think that what Espiritu Santo has done with that team has been incredible. They have that Portuguese flair. They got a world-class keeper in Rui Patricio. They have John Moutinho running the midfield alongside Ruben Neves, which if they can hold on to him, which I think they will if they get a Europa League spot, he'll be great. They got Johnny on one side and Doherty on the other, providing width. And then Raul Jimenez has had a great year. He's been a revelation, and they're right up there. So if they can hang on to that 6th, 7th spot in the Premier League, man, they would be a really, really fun team to watch in the Europa League, and a team that I think that with
a lot of excitement.
Yeah, a lot of excitement. And this is their first year back in the Prem. I think with more an influx of cash next year, they're only going to sign more good players. And, shout out to ex-Liverpool man Connor Kawadi for just being the anchor in that back line as well. I think that they got a really, really, really good shot at doing well and doing something big. A lot like Burnley had the opportunity to. I don't think they'll flame out in the play-in game like Burnley did. I think they'll actually get a chance, and they'll go through if they hold on to that 6th, 7th place spot. But they're going to be really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, and I encourage our listeners. If I know top teams are nice to hear about and nice to root for, but a lot of these leagues have some middle team tables, and I insist and I encourage you guys to do some research, and look at the I guess you could say the fairy tale stories of these teams like Getafe, Alaves,
Leicester City, a couple years back. Come on, you foxes, yeah.
It's these teams and these stories are a bit more exciting than your sometimes than your Barcelona and your Real Madrid. So if you want to follow football properly, I suggest you pick a mid-table team and follow them throughout the season and see how that goes.
Oh yeah, and even with Champions League, I mean, here at Box to Box, like, we're team upset all day, every day. Like, I'm a huge Liverpool fan. If frickin' Bristol City comes in and upsets Liverpool, like, that's a story to me.
Yeah.
And that's why we're so bought in on this Ajax team, because we feel like they actually have an opportunity to come in and just boss one of the best teams in the world.
And I love myself a good Cinderella story, man. It's exciting. Like I said, I'm a man of football all over the world. I enjoy it no matter what, whether it's two mediocre teams playing. I enjoy it. Football's football.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's why we do it, folks. That's why we come here twice a week and bring you these podcasts, is because we love the game and we want to be able to share that love with you. And the best way for us to kind of share that with you is for you to hit us up. Our hopes is to have a mailbag here in the next couple episodes with some comments and reactions to the show. You can hit us up one of two ways. You can hit us up on our email at 90minutes@boxtoboxradio.com. That's 90min@boxtoboxradio.com. Email us your questions or your reactions. And then you can also tweet us at B2B_radio on Twitter. That's B_2B_radio on Twitter. We love to answer your questions as well. Fellow Austinites, we're approachable. We're in town. Come hit us up. We work at the Soccer Corner in Round Rock. We'd love to have some footy conversations with you. Ask for Mason and Moses. We'd love to talk to you guys. Whether you're hardcore with the Austin Anthem or the Cinco Doce, we don't care. We would love to talk to all you guys. We're just happy that professional soccer is finally taking off here in Austin, and we love to see it. We feel like this city has so much to offer with culture, growth, tacos and beer, you name it.
Food trucks, man.
I need to lay off the tacos and beer, man. If I'm to get in fighting shape for the Bold to come scout me. But
there we go.
Thank you guys again for listening. Mo, you got any parting words for our listeners, or?
It's been great so far. These 2 episodes have been great so far. We like Mason said, if you want to reach out to us, reach us out on on all the social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and soon we'll have that mailbag. And like I said, it's been a great 2 episodes so far, and it's only going to get better, guys. So we hope that you guys tune in every week, listen to everything that we're saying, kind of get informed, enjoy it.
Oh yeah,
because this is just as enjoyable for us.
Yeah, for sure. That's all we got for you guys today. Be on the lookout next week. We're gonna have podcasts out about the CONCACAF Champions League reaction, and then some more game coverage and big news going on in the world. Thanks very much. Signing off here, Mason Carmichael, Moses Hernandez. Have a good rest of the week.
Good night, guys.